Welcome to the Virginia is for Sports podcast with your hosts, Kevin Flippin as Flip, Paul Gilman as PG Fitty P, and Kenny Wingle as K-Dub. Let's play VA.
Is up. What's up,
Flip?
K-Dub? How's it going,
What's going
man?
on? Feeling good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Another beautiful week here in good old Mechanicsville, Virginia. You're about to. Yeah, I don't want to get into your personal business, but you're about to have a big old move, aren't you?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Moving in a couple days. So this weekend I'll be moving. So just around the corner though. It's not that big a deal.
Still, man. But it's still a fun time. And I'll tell you what else has been a lot of fun lately. And first of all, as anyone who has listened to us before or seen us before, you notice there's only two boxes. That third box, well, there's going to be another box here in a second, but that third box that usually starts the show is actually across the pond, getting a bit of tea at a soccer match. I guess they call it a football match over there. So PG Fitty P is taking a little spring break trip to see his daughter. So we hope he's having a great time. Did you have any comments on that?
Well, he knows he's bougie, though, 1%er. You know, he's fancy. I hope he's having a good time. He sent some cool videos or pictures from the pitch over there. So I'm glad he's having fun.
He ain't running to Ted Lasso yet. So
JJ Watt's over there. I don't know where he is with his soccer team or football team, however it goes.
So I'm going to throw you a curveball right off the bat because we always talk about what we're going to do and what the format's going to be, and I'm going to throw a curveball. It's not going to be a hard one to hit, though, I promise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring our guest in to talk with us about that first topic that we want to get into. And our guest this week is one of the best dual sport athletes to ever come out of the Richmond Metro Central Virginia area, if you will,
yes,
the state of Virginia. And this man is also making a huge impact right now, positive impact on the kids all over Hanover County. So please welcome Anthony Martinez to the show.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
I appreciate that, man. That's a great intro. I appreciate it. But yeah, you said it best, man. I'm trying to make an impact on the kids, man. That's what's the most important thing in my life right now is, family and doing my work. So I appreciate it, man. Good to see you guys.
Absolutely, man. Hey, and we're going to get into that a little bit. I promise you.
Okay.
But the segment that K-Dub and I were going to open with this week is, and I'd love to get your input on this too. The recent boom of women's college basketball. And
man,
look, I've watched sports my entire life. I've seen some of the greatest women's basketball players come through the ranks, from the Nancy Lieberman Kleins. I know that's how old I am. Cheryl Miller, Cheryl Swoops. I mean, we could go down. Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker. I mean, some of the great Diana Taurasi, some of the greatest women's basketball players over the last 40 years, 50 years. But for some reason, the last year, I'd say, it's kind of exploded. People have really jumped on to watching it, and the proof is in the pudding. 12.3 million people watched an Elite Eight game on Monday night between LSU and Iowa. A lot of people give Caitlin Clark a lot of the credit, but I think it's more credit to be thrown out there. K-Dub, I know you've been loving this. How are you feeling, man?
Well, I'm going to let Anthony go on that one. I mean, I watched the game, but I'd love to hear what Anthony has to say.
Man, I tell you what, obviously I'm a sports guy. I appreciate all sports. Women's basketball wasn't really a big thing for me in the past. But I'll tell you what, just being honest, last year I really started to pay attention. Watching that championship game last year with Iowa and LSU, man, that just kind of sparked something different. Like, man, these girls can go, man. Like, we need to start paying them more attention. And it's not to say that the women of the past couldn't play, because they could, but I mean, they just, the evolution of the game has just changed so much, man. These girls can absolutely play, and I think they can compete with some of the fellas out there. But I've been watching the tournament. Caitlin Clark is different, man. Like she's special. And Juju Watkins, I'm a fan of her. But like I said, these girls can play, man. It's just the way the game has just, been revolutionized from and I think they're taking a page from Steph Curry, the way he's revolutionized the game. These girls are doing the same thing. But yeah, man, I love it. I watch it when I can. My kids are watching it. They're interested in it. The game the other night, they was excited. Dad, what time does the LSU game come on? We want to watch Caitlin Clark. So, that tells you how far it's come. So
that's awesome. It's funny, Kato, before you go, I just want to throw something in there real quick. One of the things that kind of piqued my interest even more was when the women started acting a little bit more like the men last year in the finals. They were talking trash to each other. They were doing the John Cena and the ring, and that's stuff that dudes usually do, right? We're usually the ones out there being cocky and brash and talking junk. The women don't want to do that. I think there's some of that goes on, but it kind of got taken to the next level last year, and it's been awesome. It's been awesome,
and that's how they got views, man. I love it. I love to see competitors. I love to see people talk, especially when they can back it up, man. So I love to see it. I thought it was great, and I think that's what's brought that attention to that sport, man. And it's and it's been great. I mean, like you said, if you're a competitor and you like sports, how can you not enjoy that? You know what I mean? So that's my take on it, and I'm gonna keep watching it because there's gonna be more to follow in the next few years. So.
Yeah, for real, like you said, Juju is a beast, man. She's a monster in her personality. Like she's, freshman scoring record in 4 years. Where's she going to be?
Right.
Caitlin Clark type numbers, putting them up.
Yeah.
There's a whole group of them, and I wonder, like, how far, like you said, Anthony is like Steph's influence, but Kobe did a lot with girls basketball. Like what age group? I know Haley was a big Kobe girl. Like Caitlin's rocking the Kobe's every game now. Like, man, it's cool to see. Just, man, if Kobe was around, what level would be at? But I'm sure he'd be proud of the level it's at right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I said, just the way this game, the women's game has just come so far over the years, man. And like you said, those guys like Steph, definitely Kobe. They got a major fingerprint on that, man. And I'm just curious to see how it's going to, revolutionize even more over the next few years. So,
and I'll put the capper on this. I had a conversation today with Al Lester. I think both you guys know Al.
Okay.
And it's a conversation I've never thought I'd ever have. He said Juju Watkins was playing with a bunch of transfers and grad transfers this year. Next year, they have the #1 recruiting class coming in to join her. I was like, what? We're having a conversation about women's basketball recruiting class. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, Juju is going to be doing her thing for a lot longer.
Hey, and to be honest, man, it's a lot of female hoopers in our area that's making a name for themselves. I mean, it's a lot of girls out in Chesterfield that can play. We got some girls down Holland Springs. It's a lot of young women out here that's really starting to take the game seriously. And like I said, I love to see it, man. I think it's great. And when I can see kids, like my own kids, actually paying attention and being inspired by them, man, that tells you where it's going. So
absolutely, man. Good stuff. And thank you, Anthony, for jumping in and helping us with that first segment, because that's a lot of fun to talk about now, which I didn't think I'd ever say. So I'm saying it, and we're going to keep saying it. So, Anthony, you and I connected through the one and only baller from way back. I won't say too far back. Dave Martinez, your father, who I can't even imagine having a cooler dad than that dude. I'm sure you being his son's a lot different than me balling against him on the court and talking trash with him and just having fun with him. But what a cool dad! But we're so happy that you were able to come and join us. He also was able to hook us up with Coach Tennyson, who you called your uncle. That's kind of your uncle.
Yeah, that's Unc. That's family, man. Yep, that was a great episode, by the way. I loved it.
Thank you. Well,
we had a lot of fun with it.
I might owe your dad dinner after this. Don't get his hopes up, though. We'll probably go to McDonald's.
Yeah, he don't want much.
So start off a little bit, because I want to get to a lot of fun stuff, but I want you to tell us kind of how you started in sports and what kind of caught your eye. And you grew up in Montpelier, I'm assuming, right? You went to Patrick Henry. I don't know if that's where you grew up, but tell us about your childhood and what sports you enjoyed.
Well, I grew up in the East End. We lived, I lived in the East End till I was 13. That's when we moved to Montpelier. My dad bought a bunch of land out there, and we moved out there when I was 13. But yeah, I grew up in the East End.
Okay.
I always had a knack to throw things. My dad would always say my arm was different from the time I was younger, all the way up. So I was always throwing stuff. So automatically that got me into sports, right? He got an arm. Let's get him into baseball. Let's get him into this, get him into that. So from a young age, I was always into sports, man. I loved it, whether it was playing in the neighborhood, playing catch with my dad on the yard every day, going to hit the ball, throw the football, whatever it was, we were doing it. But yeah, we moved out to Montpelier when I was, like I said, 13. I went to Liberty, went to Patrick Henry, graduated in 2002. Then I went on off to college, and I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, we started in the East End. Where we lived, I was on the line of Verona and Holland Springs, like right on the line, but I was on the side of Verona. So my mom would have been happy because my mom was a Blue Devil. Dad was a Springer. So, but yeah, I ended up being a Patriot anyway. So didn't really matter too much.
So hey, they just started up the Patrick Henry Hall of Fame too.
Yes,
so
yes,
we'll
this
see
is
you
the
there.
Second. We'll see. Yeah. When the time is right. When the time is right, my name will be called, I guess. But
oh yeah,
no worries. When it happens, it happens.
It's coming. It's coming. So when you go to high school with Patrick Henry, I would assume, and this is an assumption, you tell me, you're probably playing all three major sports, maybe even something else, maybe wrestling or golf, or who knows what else you're playing. But is your mindset yet on one sport? Because I know you're so good at baseball and football. Was basketball in there at all? I know your dad's a big basketball guy.
In middle school, I did play all three. I was football, baseball, basketball. Basketball, I was good. I could shoot. I could dribble. I could handle a little bit, but I didn't love it. I like to watch basketball, but it wasn't my favorite sport to play. And I was good enough to, go on and play in high school and start and do all that stuff. But I just knew that football and baseball was probably going to be it for me. So I stopped playing after middle school and stuck strictly with baseball, football. Baseball was always my first love, I would say. But football, I was good at it. It was natural. But I never really had that mindset of which one I liked more. It was whatever it was I was playing at that time. That's where my energy went.
So you didn't have to, because I know these days of coaches, we talked with Coach Simondera last week from St. Chris about every athlete now has a pitching coach, a hitting coach, a fielding coach, a throwing coach. I mean, it's unbelievable how many coaches we have. And a lot of kids now are just playing one sport, but it's year round. You were playing everything though, right? I mean, there was no, hey, if it's fall, we're playing football. If it's winter, we're playing basketball. If it's spring, we're playing baseball. How do you think that helped you become even better at the two main sports you ended up playing?
Well, I love a cross-trained athlete. I love it. Even with my son now, he plays basketball, baseball, and his travel baseball team takes up a lot of time. They play, pretty much all year. But I try to keep him involved in different things, whether it's basketball, soccer, because of that fact that cross-training helps in all sports, and especially for me. Like I said, I felt like training for football obviously helped my strength in baseball season, and then vice versa. Having to, keep composed in baseball helped me playing quarterback, right? So the cross-training, I think kids now should take more advantage of playing multiple sports. Because like you said, you do see that focus on playing something all year round and at a young age, right? I'm not a fan of that. One, because I think burnout is a possibility. And two, some of these kids, 3 or 4 years, they're not going to want to play it. They could be doing it for the wrong reason. So as long as, especially for my kids, as long as my kids want to do it, we're going to do it. But I try to keep things in perspective. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to play soccer, you want to play whatever it is you want to do, you can do it, right? I try not to limit to one sport for that matter because I like the cross training aspect. So.
Well, we need more parents to think that way. I think I've always say this, and I know it sounds terrible, but adults ruin kids' sports. I mean, it's
100%.
I don't mean that in a too bad of a way, because adults, obviously there's a lot of great adults out there who contribute positively to it. But you can't necessarily live vicariously through your kids, right? So it's
right.
a tough one. Yeah, what you got? I see you smiling up there.
No, I try to live vicariously through my kids, though. Like, if they're balling, I'm like, oh, please.
I live a little bit through my nephew, because my nephew's a really good basketball player. Like I said, I wasn't a basketball player, so I get into his games a lot. I get a little bit more vocal, so I try to live my basketball wannabe through him. So,
Jalen can ball. He can ball.
Jalen can go. He can go.
So, Anthony, how are you active in the sports community now? Like, are you're around Richmond area still? And
so
what are you doing in the
I actually live in Mechanicsville. I'm not coaching. I don't do too much sports coaching. But both of my kids play ball. I did coach my son. He's 8, but I did coach him around 5 and 6. But I was in that mindset that I want him to be coachable by other people. So I'm the parent that sits down the right field line. Hey man, don't look for me when you're on the field. I'm way over here. Don't worry about me. So I try to stay away from it, because I know we're gonna work off the field. Same goes for my daughter, because she plays softball as well. So no coaching, but my job title, my career, I am called a behavior coach and interventionist and behavior specialist. So in some aspect, I'm still coaching, just not sports. So
yeah, that's strong. I like that. So obviously you have a heck of an arm, right? Because you pitch, you play third, you play quarterback.
Yeah.
Those are the arm positions, right? You got to have one. So right. I'm curious to know, I played third base at high school, all region at King William County. So I have a standout play I was just talking to my dad about it the other day, a play from third base.
Okay.
Do you got one that sticks out in your head that you remember?
I do, and my dad would probably say the same play, but it wasn't a play where I used my arm. So this was my freshman year in high school. I was starting as a freshman at third, and I don't know if y'all have been to Patrick Henry, but where the dugouts are located, obviously pretty close to third base. There was a pop fly hit, foul territory. So I'm tracking it, and I notice I'm getting closer to the dugout. So my instinct just took over. I jumped up, grabbed the top of the dugout, pulled up, and snatched it on top of the dugout, and just kind of hung on the dugout. So that's one that sticks out. That was my freshman year. I made some pretty tough plays, moving forward, but that one sticks out to me. And then actually, you know what? I'll tell one more quick one. This one's pretty funny. So coming up in Holland Springs Little League, it was All-Stars. I was 11 years old, and they had the metal trash cans. They had one set up at home plate, and our goal was to throw it in the trash can from center field. And I put a hole through that thing right through the back of it. So I was about 11 years old. So that's probably the other one. So
everybody with an arm has that arm story though. That's the one.
That's the one I probably should have told first, but yeah, that's it.
They're both great. So I know you. I saw a guy named Sam Ork. You play softball.
That's family, Sam? Man. That's my guy. So actually, Sam's an East End guy as well. His whole family grew up in the East End, Holland Springs Little League. Sam's a little bit older than me, but I played ball with his younger brothers. But I can remember going to watch Sam and the older guys on the big field at Holland Springs back when I was younger. And then we just reconnected years ago, probably 12, 15 years ago, man. I just finished playing baseball and I was out, watching some of my buddies play softball. He's like, man, come play. Man, I ain't messing with this, man. Then they got me out there, right? First at bat, I launched one about 500 feet. And then 7 years later, I finally stopped playing slow pitch softball. So, but yeah, Sam's a great dude, man. That's my guy, man. I love him to death. So.
Yeah, man. I was against slow pitch myself, and then when I played it, I'm like, well, it's still the same. And did they put you on third when you were playing softball?
I was playing third, and you know what, man? I could probably still do it, But the last few, I stopped playing probably 4 or 5 years ago. But what did it for me, man? I was playing third, and the guy just smokes one down the line, and I just look at it, don't even budge. I don't see it. I mean, I can't see it. I mean, the way these balls are coming off the bats, man, I'm like, you know what? I got to go to work this week. I ain't messing with no. I mean, it's just so I think my hands and stuff are still there, but my eyes, man, I just couldn't pick up the ball at all, man. And these guys hit it hard. So that was it for me, and that was probably 5, 6 years ago, maybe longer.
Yeah. Hey, that's funny you say that because it's pretty much the same reason I quit playing men's. I was pitching one night, and a guy hit a line drive so hard, I didn't even react. It took my glove off and threw it behind me. And I was like, I shouldn't be out here. Because if that hit in my face, I'm probably dead. So, that's crazy. We get older, man. The reaction time, eyesight, hearing.
Kev, I literally just looked at it and was like, you know what? Go ahead and put me in the outfield. So I ain't messing with it.
I'm playing short left.
Yeah.
I'm in the grass.
Out near the fence.
Slow pitch will get you though, man. Slow pitch is addicting. So Anthony, tell us a little about, because obviously you were a standout in high school. Then you go and who were you recruited by to play either sport? I guess who were the main folks that were recruiting you?
So I'll be honest. I mean, I had my fair share of football offers. Main ones: Michigan, Tennessee, UVA. Those were kind of my final 3 that I just, I was kind of weighted down
Anthony,
to.
I saw that Michigan one, and I grew up in Michigan, and
I
know you like the big house. I don't know how you.
Oh man, it was close.
UVA,
we went up there numerous times too. My dad, I think that's kind of where my dad wanted me to go. He's always been a Michigan guy, but UVA was tugging on my heartstrings a little bit. But actually, man, baseball, I probably had more letters come to the house for baseball than anything, because really I didn't start getting football recruitment. Well, it didn't pick up probably until like late my junior year, going into my senior year, because I ended up going to Elite 11 my junior year. And after that, that's kind of when it all just took off for me. But before then, I mean, as good of, years as I was having, I was getting letters here and there, but it didn't really take off like crazy until late my junior year. But like I said, Michigan, Tennessee, UVA. I really liked Arizona State. Me and my dad went out there. Baseball, I was getting stuff every day from LSU, Miami, the big boys. So in hindsight, LSU would have been sweet for baseball back then. Using them drop 5 rocket launcher bats would have been something special. But I had to do what my heart was telling me at the time, and that's where I landed.
So you end up at UVA, and I think Al Groh was your coach there.
Yes, he was.
How did your whole freshman experience go with being the quarterback at UVA?
It was, I had a blast, man. It wasn't how I pictured it was going to be, before I got there. But I met great people. I had some great coaches who I still talk to this day. Tons of friends. Coach Groh, he was a X's and O's guy, man, and he knew football to the max. And I had a good relationship with him. And his son recruited me, Mike Groh. He was my quarterback coach. We had a good thing for a while, but just over time, after, because I redshirted my first year. My redshirt freshman year is actually when I played. And it didn't work out like I wanted it to. Some things could have been different. But that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. I wish we had what we call it, the transfer portal. I wish that was, in play back then, because some things might have been a little different. But, and that's no knock on UVA or my experiences there, because I treasure them to this day. I mean, I still got my UVA degree sitting right behind me right there. So, that was the most important part. But yeah, it was just, back then it was just, he was coming from the NFL. So it was an NFL style, program he was running. It didn't work for some, and it worked for some others. And I'm not gonna say it didn't work for me, but it was just one of those things where some things could have been different. And I don't want to speak bad on nobody. I'd never do that. But it ended up working out because it did give me a chance to still play baseball. So.
Well, I mean, there you go. It could have been divine intervention because I think your
Right.
first love was baseball anyway, right? So now you can focus fully on baseball. Tell us a fun story or some of the cool things that happened at UVA with your baseball career.
Man, that was awesome, man. I played, first of all, Coach O'Connor, Coach McMullen, who I still talk to this day. Coach McMullen, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have gotten back into baseball. He spent time with me, one-on-one time with me, whether it was hitting in the cages, just talking about the future, getting my body back right from a football body to a baseball body. He just spent time with me, man, and I appreciated that. And he had me dialed in. I played. I got a bunch of at-bats. Rumor is I still have the furthest ball hit at UVA. From what I've been told, people say I still have one of the furthest home runs that was hit there.
It's a tape measure job. Do you know the distance?
All I know is I don't know Klockner Stadium.
Spot? Yeah,
Klockner Stadium behind the baseball field right there. I hit it into Klockner over it was touched. But yeah, it was hit. But yeah, Coach McMullen was my guy, man. He, and I got to play with some good guys. I mean, obviously Ryan Zimmerman. And I've known Zim since me and Zim go back. So we was 10 years old, just from AAU ball and all that. So, him and Mark Reynolds. Mark had already left for the draft, but Mark and I played on the same AAU baseball team.
Nice.
The Virginia Blasters back in the day. So playing with Mark, Ryan Zimmerman, Sean Doolittle, I think he just retired not too long ago. Yeah, man, there was some players. We had some players.
You guys made the College World Series at all during your time there?
Not that year. We went to the regionals and lost to Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, made the regionals, lost to Ohio State. And the next year, I actually transferred. So I transferred to Lewisburg. I knew coming into the following year, it came down. So when I stopped playing football, my football scholarship only ran through the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Baseball didn't have money to pick it up next year. So I knew I had to make a decision on, all right, do I come back, foot this bill, put it on my parents with the chance that I might get a chance of more playing time, being that I wasn't a recruited baseball guy, right? Do I roll that dice even though I spent the last year, working and doing whatever? Or, do I do the summer ball thing, which I did. I played for the Peninsula Pilots and just roll the dice, see what happens. And I did. My coach for my summer ball team ended up recruiting me to come play at Lewisburg for a year, Lewisburg College in North Carolina. And I went down there and lit it up. Just lit it up for a year, and that's where I got drafted from.
So you drafted, what round was it? 11? What round
11th.
were you drafted?
I was 11th. Yep.
And
the year before, I actually got picked up by the Red Sox. The Red Sox actually was like, hey, man, they wanted me to come on as a free agent, like late, like 39th round. They was like, hey, come on, man. It's like, nah, I'm gonna go do this for a year and really get in it, and then come talk to me, after that. So yeah, 11th round to the Orioles.
Do you still go to UVA games, baseball games, or anything?
I haven't been up in a while. We'll take the kids. Like, let's see, we went up to Mitchie Tavern before Christmas, and we drove the kids around Charlottesville and showed them the school. And I like to show it off because obviously UVA is beautiful. And my wife went to Bucknell. So Bucknell is kind of like a mini, it's like a mini UVA. It almost looks the same. So I like to go and show it off to her. But I don't really, time-wise, if I had more time, I would, go up and watch. But time is minimal nowadays.
So one of their assistant coaches is about your age. He's from around this area. Went to high school with me. Matt Kirby. He's the assistant coach for UVA. Did you run into him in AAU?
That name sounds really familiar. How old is he?
Oh man, he's a couple years behind me, so he's probably mid 44, 45.
Okay, because I'm 40, so that name does sound familiar. Okay. I know Hunter Hart, old PH grad. He was there for a little bit as a GA, and then he came on back home. And I'm not sure what he's doing now, but I know he was up there for a little bit too.
So, Anthony, and this is a question we've asked a couple of coaches, but I think it's a question that definitely fits in this with you at least. What advice would you give an up and coming? And maybe you've given this to Jalen, right? So, an up and coming baller, hooper, baseball player, football player, whatever it is, what advice would you give them that you wish you had known when you were in your teens coming up?
Okay. It's a great question. One, to a kid that's getting recruited, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, I would tell them, go where you can shine and go where you can shine quickly, right? It don't have to be a Florida State or Virginia. It doesn't have to be a top-notch school, but go where you can play immediately. Go where you can be seen, because that's the key. If you're not playing, they're not going to see you. Go where you can shine. That'd be my first piece of advice. I mean, obviously your grades, man. If you don't have those, none of us, it's not going to happen. And that's one thing I stay on my nephew about it. Like, hey, man, make sure the books are right, man, because none of this stuff matters if you walk around with D's, right? Hit the books, and that should go unsaid. But yeah, I would tell kids, man, just go where you can shine, go where they want you, right? Go where they want you, go where they're going to invest in you, and let your skills do the work. I mean, obviously your skill is going to get you there. Obviously you know how to work, but just go where you can shine. And that's one thing that that's one thing I wish I could probably go back and kind of really hone in on. It's like, all right, where can I go because there were schools where I knew I could have probably gone there and immediately, made some noise like right off the jump.
You could have beat out Drew Henson for the start Michigan quarterback job, man.
Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah. I think so. And I always admired Drew Henson for that fact that he was that dual sport guy.
Yeah, another baseball player.
But yeah, that would be my advice, man. Just go where you can, where you're appreciated and where you can shine and where you're gonna, be able to show your stuff off quickly.
Somebody should have told Arch Manning that.
Hey, where is he? Is he still? He didn't leave Texas, did he?
I don't think he's left yet. I think he's hanging.
You think he will? You think?
Well, I probably would. To your point, to your advice, he probably needs to go somewhere where he can play. You know, so I don't know. Go to Ole Miss, follow Uncle Eli.
And that's kind of why I made the comment earlier about the portal. And again, that's no knock at all against UVA. Like I said, I love UVA to death, but for my situation back then, if I wanted to continue to play football, the portal would have been like that. That's what I would have used it for, right? But,
yeah. So back then, you sat out a complete year, right?
Sit.
You couldn't play a whole year. So the amount of careers that people were like, over that year, like,
yep.
That's a sacrificed year, straight up. You're not doing anything but working out and trying to.
That's it.
But it's got to be frustrating too,
Yeah. And I was just fortunate. I was just blessed to have the ability to be able to be like, okay, this football thing ain't working, right? All right, let me go swing this bat, see if I still got it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
hey, you mentioned how far you hit a baseball. What's the furthest you threw a football? How far could you throw a football when you were in your prime?
So it's funny you say that. So I used to go to a lot of camps back then. That was how we got our name out, was, go to camps. And my dad and mom made sure that, I got all exposure that I could. So one of my favorite camps I ever went to was at North Carolina. That was my freshman year, going into my sophomore year. And I won the long distance contest. And I think I threw it 73 yards. Yeah, 73 going into my sophomore year.
And you could probably throw it further as a senior or freshman in college. So
maybe I launched a couple in high school, man, but then I was really trying to crank it up, right?
Yeah.
And I just so happened to catch the wind right. I had the perfect spin on it, and that thing caught the wind and just floated. So I remember that. Yeah, so it was about 73 yards at UNC football camp. Carl Torbush was the coach.
The wind aided 73.
Yep.
That's great. K-Dub, do you have a question or you want to move into
I don't know. I'm amazed. 73 is insane. I used to be like, I could get it 60, but 73 is that wins the NFL competition every year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Flip, are you doing Mount Rushmore?
Absolutely, we're doing Mount Rushmore.
Love it.
Let's run.
Love it.
Ready?
Let's run.
All right.
Go for it.
So, Anthony, you and I talked a little bit about the questions, and we can do all three, or we can do two. It's a lot of fun. Normally, well, I shouldn't say normally, because lately we've been focusing on the guests because we think listeners want to hear what you guys have to say, not us. So we're going to keep it that way this week. So the first Mount Rushmore question I have for you: give me the best four, your Mount Rushmore, of athletes that have come out of Patrick Henry. And that can be any sport. Any sport.
Okay.
The best four.
Okay. I'm going to say Damian Woody. Obviously, we all know who he is. Turn on ESPN. He's on there. Daniel Derricott. He was the first quarterback to win the state championship at Patrick Henry. He's one of my good buddies. Love him to death. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say some names y'all probably don't know. One, this kid, his name's Travis Gilpin. Travis was my receiver in high school, and this guy was unreal. He made me who I was on the football field. We were so in sync, but he was just one of the best all around athletes I'd ever been around. And I'm gonna say another name. Donnie Morris. Now, I never got to see Donnie Morris play, right? But I've heard all about him, right? And I heard the stories of how good of an athlete he was. But I realized how good he was when I played slow pitch softball against him. I hit a ball in the gap. He probably doesn't remember this, but I hit one in the gap. He was in center, and he ran that thing down like he was Andrew McCutcheon. Like he went and got it. And this was about 10 years ago. But Donnie Morris, I'm not gonna throw myself in there. I'd like to, but I'm not gonna do that. Try to stay humble here. But I put myself in that conversation. But PH has had so many, man. It's
so many.
It's a ton, man. And I feel like I'm doing discredit to some names out there, but there's so many out there.
Yes, absolutely. And Donnie Morris, friend of the podcast, he's been on the podcast in its previous iteration. One of the nicest guys. Got to mix it up and on the Gandy basketball court with him and Danny Derricott and the Minor brothers. Man, there's so many just great athletes that came out of PH. Good list. I like it. All right, we're going to switch to baseball.
Hey, quick question on that, Flip. Well, Travis, you and Travis came up like as kids, right? I mean, that was your wide receiver for a long time.
So Travis, right? when we moved out to Montpelier, I played. Like I said, I grew up playing the Holland Springs rec. But when I moved out here, I had to convert to being an Ashland Viking. So they didn't let me play quarterback right away. I was playing nose guard, linebacker, running back, but they would put me in. Actually, I'm sorry, they would put me in at running back for this one specific play, which was a halfback pass. And that pass I was throwing, it was a power pitch pass, and me and Travis were connecting 2 or 3 times a week on that play. So me and Travis had that connection from the time we was 12 all the way through high school. So,
And Derricott, did they play a bunch of ball at that Liberty men's like 35+ basketball league?
Probably so. Knowing Danielle, he probably does. I know he's been doing a lot of stuff with work, and he was doing some coaching. I think he was at Marshall for a little bit. But I'm sure when he's home, he's playing. That's probably one of the most competitive dudes I know. I'll see him, and out of nowhere, he'll just randomly look at me. I love you, but I was the best one. Like, man, get out of here, man. I don't want to hear that. I love him to death, man. It's always love. Ever since I was a young kid, man, he's been nothing but like a bigger brother role model type to me. So
it's awesome.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, so let's switch over to baseball. And third base. I want to know who your Mount Rushmore of third basemen are of all time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Chipper. Chipper number 1. I'm a big fan of Nolan Arenado. I think he can absolutely play, man. I think he's sick. If we go old school, Brooks Robinson. I know a lot of new age guys. When you ask them who their GOAT third baseman is, he's the one they mentioned. So I'm gonna throw Brooks in there. And then I'm gonna go with one of my buddies, man, David Wright. David Wright. I thought Dave was amazing. He was a great person. And he could pick it at third, man. He could swing the bat, obviously, but he could play some third, man. And Dave's one of those guys I knew growing up. He played on the older Blaster AAU team, so we always played against each other a lot. So I'm gonna throw Dave in the mix, but I say Chipper, Nolan, Brooks, and Dave. Probably my 4.
Dave's a Time Warner guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
David Wright's a beast, man. That's a great list. And there's so many good ones out there, right? So I mean,
a ton.
You went back to Brooks Robinson. I wouldn't go back that far. I would, because he was awesome. Maybe the greatest defensive third baseman ever. But I was a big Mike Schmidt guy growing up. Mike Schmidt was
Phillies.
Man, he could hit the heck out of the baseball, but also could play good. He could play a mean hot corner too.
My first base. You remember how back in the day, baseball gloves would have like a player's name in the middle, like in the palm. Mine was Mike Schmidt back in the day. My first glove, Mike Schmidt glove. Yep.
My dad and I were talking about third baseman the other day, Brooks Robinson. He told me, he said, there's some video or something of a series, and they said he made like 7 or 8 just phenomenal plays, which that's when they started calling them the human, which for that day and age to be called the human vacuum cleaner, that's phenomenal. You know, because how many other human whatever nicknames came after that one?
Right.
But man,
I mean, like you said you ask the guys nowadays, these new guys, he's always thrown in the mix as the guy that they're like, you know, Brooks Robinson, he was that guy. You know, A-Rod. Can't forget about A-Rod. Loved A-Rod. So
I tell you what, some of the best plays I've ever seen from third baseman are Manny Machado. The stuff that
Machado's nice, man. Machado's nice. Yeah.
I talk about it all the time. The way he's like 2 steps out of you know, in foul territory, and he looks at it and then he throws it. It's like, man, come on.
Machado came in. He came in with the Orioles a year after I got my release, so I just missed being with him in spring training. So,
you had 3-4 seasons in the minors,
4.
right?
Yeah.
4, yeah.
Yep.
Well, wasn't your last year your best year hitting wise? You hit like 11 bombs.
I hit it well, man. I always swung the bat well, and I played great defense. I was very good with my glove, but it was one of those things where, like I said, I was an 11th round pick, and I got plenty of opportunities. But in baseball, it's fickle. If you're not hitting 375, 25 jacks, if you're not a first through third rounder, it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough sledding. And that's kind of the situation that happened with me. They brought a kid in that was a little bit higher draft pick than I was the year after. And I'd like to say I was much better. I'd like to say I played better. I'd like to say my numbers were better. I was a better athlete. And that's no disrespect to him. It's just, me saying what it is. But he got a little bit more money than I did. He was a higher draft pick. So he got a little bit more opportunities what I did. Yeah. And that in baseball, that's just how it goes. When you get your opportunities, you gotta get hot and stay hot. Because if you don't, it's easier to say, all right, let's give our first rounder most of the reps, and we'll get this guy in when we can. But I played every day. It wasn't a thing like that. But I needed to stay hot when I got hot, and just kind of fluctuated.
Yeah, I mean I guess they're putting all this money into somebody. They're going to exhaust all efforts instead of looking at you, who is world's better than that guy, but they already put the money in him.
Somebody can't look bad. Somebody can't look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, and that's you see that a lot because there was guys I played with that was drafted 20, 25, 30th round, and they could play. I mean, like play. But they didn't get the same opportunities as this kid that was a first or second round pick because, we gave this kid $600,000. We gave him 5. So we got to see what this $600,000 going to do before we see what this $5,000 going to do. So,
yeah. All right. So we usually only do 1 or 2. I want to do a third one. We're Virginians for sports, right? Yeah. And we're having fun with this. So last one, the best 4 baseball players to come from the Richmond metro area.
Ooh.
And we'll include you as the 5th. But who are the other 4?
Ooh, I like that. I like it. So I'm gonna say there's a kid I played against in high school named Matt Moses from Mills Godwin. He could play, man. He had an older brother named Mitchell, who was my age, but Matt was a year behind me. But he ended up getting drafted by the Twins. But Matt, man, because I pitched in high school too, I couldn't get him out, man. And I was good, man. I threw hard. I had all the pitches. I like to say people got a little shook when I pitched, man. I could not get him out. He was a monster, man. He was so good. So Matt Moses from Godwin.
He was your Tony Gwynn.
Oh man, Matt, he could hit it, man. He played a long time in the Twins organization. I think he just got out probably 7, 8 years ago. I'm gonna say one of my teammates from high school, kid named Marshall Hubbard. Okay. Marshall Hubbard. Marshall, 6'2", lefty. Marshall was 2 years ahead of me, so we played together for 2 years. But man, you talk about could swing it, man. Just smooth. He had one of those like Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez, just smooth from the left side type. And he ended up playing at William & Mary, and he got drafted by the Mets, and he did some time with the Mets. And actually, he's back in Ashland now. So I don't know, Kevin, if you go to the Ashland Y, you may run into him. He's in there a lot. Marshall Hubbard. Mike Mallory from Dinwiddie. Mike Mallory from Dinwiddie was probably in high school, one of the nastiest I seen, man. He was he was big, athletic, fast. And I actually still talk to Mike every once in a blue moon because he's big in the softball world. But Mike was nasty. He was drafted by I want to say he might have been drafted by the Mets as well. Then I'm going to say another guy named Mike Brown. Mike Brown played at Douglas Freeman. And I tell people to this day, Mike's probably one of the best baseball players I've ever seen. Douglas Freeman played center field, ended up going to William & Mary. He was drafted by the Tigers. Thing with him, he should have been a big leaguer. Mike ended up getting hurt when he was in college and ended up almost having to have his leg amputated. Like, it was bad. And that kind of halted his career. Actually, I think it happened when he was in the minor leagues. And that kind of just derailed him. He's now like the associate AD for VCU now. But he's probably one of the best baseball players I've seen, man. Mike, he hit a ball at me as a freshman. We was playing over at Freeman, man. He hit a ball so hard, and I caught it, but my hand rung for like a week. Like, like literally that. Mike was probably about 6'1", 190, could fly and just play, man. So that's probably my four. I throw myself in there after them.
That's a good list.
There's a couple pitchers I'll throw in there too. My boy Jeff Ostrander, Justin Bristow, Scott Taylor from Hermitage. So that's probably
I coached Justin Bristow when he was 7 years old in Kanawha football. That's how old I am.
So his older brother Matt and I played together. We played travel ball together because Matt was a quarterback at Gowan when I was a quarterback at PH. And I remember Justin was playing varsity baseball as a freshman my senior year. And he was, like I said, Justin was good, man. He could chuck it. And he pitched against us. His freshman year, he pitched against us. First at bat, he hit me. He hit me, like right in the leg. And I remember looking at him and laughing. Next at bat, man, I touched one on him. And I laughed at him the whole way around the base. But Justin could play, man. He was a great player. So.
Oh, man, that's great. That's great. All right. So that was awesome. Thank you for doing that and for doing the three. You're the best guest to do that too. I promise you.
I love it.
So last question I have for you: LeBron or Jordan?
MJ.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
MJ.
That wasn't a setup either, K-Dub. I didn't know he was going to say that. I just, but I have to ask, right? Somebody who's an athlete in sports.
I don't not like LeBron at all. I think LeBron is great. I think he's amazing. MJ. Come on, man. That goes unsaid.
For sure. Hey, Anthony, you said, oh, boy. You're pulling that up without PG being on here. I feel like I got to represent Arnold Jordan.
Dude, I'm like a teenager. I still buy Jordans, man.
Yeah.
But I do it for a purpose because the kids like to see when Mr. Martinez walking through the building and he got some J's on. They're like, oh, he's cool. So, I get that attention like that. Then I got him. So it's all for a purpose.
That's awesome.
Hey, Anthony, you mentioned a couple times about your nephew. If you care to share more about how your nephew's balling? As much as you want, give him a shout out and tell us what he's doing.
Shout out to my nephew Jay, man. He's actually on his way now. He just got off a plane. He's going to Alabama. Jalen is he's a really good ball player. So Jalen, he's been playing for Team Loaded. out of North Carolina, class of 2030. And he can play, man. He's got a bright future if he continues to work at it. He got to keep working at the craft. He's got a good handle of the game. He knows it here. His dad, Joey, was a point guard for VCU back when they went to the Final Four.
Oh, okay.
So he's inherited some of that basketball IQ from him. But Jalen's better. And I'll say that Jalen's better than him. He's gonna be better than him. He's gonna be taller. He's taller than him now. But he got
but Joey can run the squad and D up too. So if Jalen's beyond that, then
Joey had it under control, man. He did a heck of a job with that VCU squad. He was a leader. And I want Jalen to take some of that from him. If you don't take it from me or my brother, at least take that part from him. Get that leadership. Because Joey was a leader on the court. He was a commander-in-chief, man. He had it under control. But Jalen travels a lot, man. He's all over the place playing. Like I say, he's in Alabama right now, going down there with he plays on a team out of Alabama. So the coach is having him down for the week for spring break to go work out and do stuff. Try to get him on the baseball field because he got long arms and big hands. And I like to see him pitch, but he don't want no parts of it. So, but yeah.
Are you a golfer?
Shout out to Jay. A little bit. I mean, I can hit it a little bit. I can hit it far. I ain't no good. You know, if I'm in the 90s, 95, that's a great day. So, yeah.
We feel you. We're about the same.
Right there with us. That's a great day.
No good.
Just go hack it up and see how far we can hit it. That's it.
Man, I like to go out with I got some of my boys, Sam included, Sam Ork. We all go out and play. And Chris Martinez, the principal at Patch Kenner, that's like my brother. So we all go out and play, man. They think they so good, man. I just sit back and laugh. I'm like, y'all really trash, right? Y'all just need to accept it. But y'all think you're good. Y'all need to just sit back and have fun. Y'all out there really, really cheating these scores, right? I'm gonna take my 7. Y'all need to go ahead and take y'all's too. So
I'm bringing a counter with me. I'm counting everybody's score.
And they always count me. Always. Yeah. They count me. I ain't counting them, but my dad included. Kept me to get on him about that. They always count my score. They hate to lose to me, man. Like, hate it.
That's awesome. Dude, Anthony, this has been an awesome time, man. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this with us. And man, we wish you all the luck in the world. Keep doing what you're doing, man. The kids, I know it's the most important thing in the world, that your family. So keep doing what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Y'all be good.
Later.
Yes, sir. Flip.
It's a good one, man. He's a good one. He's a good dude.
And those
really good dude.
Yeah, the Mount Rushmore. He almost did a Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores.
He did almost. You're right. If we get another one in there, we could have had 4. So here's the funny thing, and it wasn't like we try to prep our guests, right? And I prepped him earlier today with several Mount Rushmores. Hey, let me know which one you like the best or whatever. And he liked them all. In fact, he changed one of them. He said, "Hey, how about this instead of that?" I was like, "Dude, that's perfect." I said, "So I'll ask 2 of them. If we want to do 3, maybe we'll do all 3." So he was like all about it. So, and obviously he prepared, and he's a great guest, man. He's a good dude, and aside from all the sports, the stuff he does with the kids it's amazing, man. And you've said it before, K-Dub. We hope to try to make an impact with this podcast, man. But having people like that who are making a positive impact to the future, right? Our kids are the future. Right? It sounds cliche, but it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, really. And I mean, I never knew it. Guy that got drafted, in the, by the Orioles is living right here in Mechanicsville. I didn't know. Right. So, I mean, it's super cool. And just to imagine to think, and I know we didn't dig into it, but we maybe follow up a little bit more just about the recruiting. I mean, the Michigan's after you, Tennessee's after you, like all these huge colleges after you, and how do you decide?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. But I guess you got to live life without regrets, right? I mean, we can all look back and go, "What if?" Hindsight 2020. But he said himself, man, his heart was at UVA, and I think based on what I heard from him, he has no regrets. He made a lot of great friends, a lot of great connections, and it led him down the path he was supposed to go down. But hey, to your point, it would have been great to see him behind center instead of Drew Henson.
I'd have taken that.
Oh man, cool, dude.
Good stuff.
Hey,
Next episode we'll have PG 50P back.
Let's hope so.
Fresh from the pond.
You think his accent?
I'll be in my new spot. I may have a new background.
Watch out.
Hey, and when this drops tonight, this Friday, April 5th, I'll be doing a show down at the Perkinson Center comedy show, the Virginia Comedy Showcase.
Nice.
8:30 Perkinson Center in Chester, Virginia. Come check it out.
I like it. Hashtag I'm funny.
Good stuff, Flip.
All right, man.
2 up. 2 down. There you go. You got it.